Testing, testing. Kenneth Patchen, 1911 to 1972, was an American poet. He was a novelist known for his experimental style, blending poetry with visual arts and jazz music. He authored over 40 books, including Before the Brave in 1936, the Journal of Albion, Moonlight in 1941, and his collected poems in 1969. Patchen's work often addressed social issues in war, resonating with the younger audiences, especially during the Vietnam War. Patchen's poetry has always resonated with young people. Poet Kenneth Rexroth once pointed out that during the Second World War and the dark days of reaction afterwards, Patchen was the most popular poet on any college campuses. One of the reasons for the attraction of the generations of college-age readers to Patchen may be the quality of the timelessness of his beliefs and his ideas. An article in New York Times explained Patchen's anti-war poetry, written in response to the atrocities of World War II, was embraced by students protesting the Vietnam era in the late 1960s. Despite his lack of formal education, he gained recognition for his unique contributions to the American literature scene. His innovative and painted poems and collaborations with musicians like John Cage further distinguished his career. Some of Kenneth Patchen's most famous poems include Let Us Have Madness. Here's a little taste of how that goes. It's a call for embracing madness and rejecting societal norms. Let us have madness. Let us have madness. Let us have madness openly. O men of my generation, let us follow the footsteps of this slaughtered age. See it trail across time's dim land into the closed house of eternity, with the noise that dying has, with the face that dead things wear, nor ever say. We wanted more. We looked to find an open door, an utter deed of love, transforming day's evil darkness. But we found extended hell and fog upon earth, and within the head a rotting bog of lean, huge graves. Some of his other poems are equally as powerful. They include a piece called And We Are So Wonderfully Done with Each Other, which was a reflection on love and separation. Fall of the Evening Star, a poem capturing beauty and melancholy of twilight. And We Go Out Together in the Staring Town, a nice piece about companionship and mundane life. One of my favorites is Do the Dead Know What Time It Is? It's a contemplative poem. It's focused around life, death, and divine encounters surrounding it. It goes like this. Do the dead know what time it is? The old guy put down his beer. Son, he said, and a girl came over to the table where we were, asked us by Jack Christ to buy her a drink. Son, I'm going to tell you something, the like of which nobody was ever told. And the girl said, I got nothing on tonight. How about you and me going up to your place? I'm going to tell you the story of my mother's meeting with God. And I whispered to the girl, I don't have a room, but maybe. And she walked up to where the top of the world is. He came right up to her and he said, so at last you've come home, but maybe what? I thought I'd like to stay here and talk to you a while. My mother started to cry and God put his arms around her. Talk about what? Oh, just talk. We'll find something. She said it was like a fog coming over her face. and light was everywhere, and a soft voice saying, "You can stop crying now." "What can we talk about that will take all night?" And I said that I didn't know. "You can stop crying now." One of the things about Kenneth Patchen's poetry is it's marked by several prevalent themes: anti-war and social critique. His work often critiques war and the ruling elite, highlighting the violence and corruption that's in society, kind of like today. Spiritual and revolutionary vision are also in most of his poetry, or have a piece in them. His poetry combines spiritual themes with a revolutionary spirit akin to the prophetic age and anger of Old Testament figures condemning greed while envisioning a just world. There's wonder and imagination. Patchen always celebrates childlike wonder and imagination as a counterbalance to the human brutality of this world, offering a vision of life's potential richness. Love and redemption is a common theme. He emphasizes love as a redemptive force against chaos and alienation. Kenneth Patchen's view of capitalism evolves from a focus on class consciousness and protest in the 1930s and 40s to a broader critique of human nature and societal corruption in his later works. Initially, Patchen's poetry emphasized capitalist greed and the ruling elite's oppression, reflecting a Marxist ideology. And over time, his critique became more abstract, addressing the darker aspects of human nature and alienation. And despite his condemnation of capitalism, Patchen maintained a vision of hope and spiritual redemption through love and imagination. Kenneth Patchen's concept of the spiritual and irrational relates to his critique of capitalism, offering a counterpoint to the mechanistic and dehumanizing aspects of a capitalist society. Patchen saw capitalism as a system that fosters alienation and corruption, emphasizing greed and violence. His spiritual and irrational perspectives invite a sense of wonder and imaginative power, which he believed could oppose the brutality that's inherent in capitalism. This approach aligns with his vision of a revolutionary, just society where spiritual fulfillment and love counteract the destructive forces of capitalism. Kenneth Patchen's critique of capitalism is deeply intertwined with his prophetic faith, as both serve to challenge the moral and ethical foundations of capitalist society. His prophetic voice, akin to the Old Testament prophets, condemns the greed and the corruption of capitalism, while envisioning a just and a sacred kingdom. His spiritual perspective emphasizes love and unity, and a wonder at antidotes to the alienation and violence fostered by capitalism. This dual focuses on spiritual fulfillment and social justice, reflects Patchen's belief in a revolutionary transformation of society grounded in moral and ethical principles. His view of capitalism as the body of and the soul of fascism profoundly shapes his poetic themes by framing capitalism as a destructive force that perpetuates war and dehumanization. This perspective is evident in all of his poetry, where he critiques the greed and the violence inherent in capitalist systems, often equating them with fascist ideologies. Patchen's work consistently emphasizes that there's alienation and corruption fostered by capitalism, contrasting these with themes of love, spiritual wonder, and imaginative power as the means of resistance and redemption. His poetry serves as a prophetic call for revolutionary change, envisioning a just and a human society. Kenneth Patchen's depiction of war however, reflects his view of capitalism by portraying war as the manifestation of capitalist greed and violence. He considered war to be the lifeblood of capitalism and the body and soul of fascism, using his poetry to highlight the destructive forces of war as a direct consequence of capitalist systems. Patchen's work contrasts the mechanical and the violent natures of war with themes of spiritual wonder and imaginative power, advocating for love and unity as paths to transcend the alienation and the corruption that's inherent in the capitalism. Kenneth Patchen's poems highlight a capitalist greed may include some of these. The Orange Bears is one. I Don't Want to Startle You would be another. And I'm going to read those two for you today. The Orange Bears, probably one of his most popular pieces, deals directly with capitalist greed. So here we go. The Orange Bears. This poem expresses Patchen's disdain for the robber baron tradition in American industry, critiquing the materialistic society that exploits natural resources for profit. Sound familiar? Orange, I thought that was rather interesting as well. I'll just leave that there. The Orange Bears with soft, friendly eyes, who played with me when I was 10. Christ, before I left home, they had their paws smashed in the rolls, their backs seared by hot slag, their soft, trusting bellies kicked in, their tongues ripped out, and I went down through the woods to the smelly creek with Whitman in the Haldeman Julius edition. And I just sat there worrying my thumbnail into the cover. What did he know about orange bears with their coats all stunk up with soft coal and the National Guard coming over from Wheeling to stand in front of the mill gates with drawn bayonets jeering at the strikers? I wonder, I remember you would put daisies on the windowsill at night, and in the morning they'd be covered with soot. You couldn't tell what they were anymore. I had a hell of a chance, a hell of a fat chance my orange bears had. But this other piece along the same vein is called I Don't Want to Startle You, and I posted it yesterday. I love this poem. I hope you'll like it too. I do not want to startle you, and Herald by Biggest Apprehensions is a secondary piece that goes with this. I'm just going to read the first. Both poems did come from the First Will and Testament, and they depict the violent and corrupt nature of capitalism, linking it to war and societal decay. I don't want to startle you. I don't want to startle you, but they are going to kill most of us. I knew the general only by name, of course. I said, Wartface, what have you done with her? I said, you dirty louse, tell me where she is now. And his duck eyes shifted to the guard. All right, Sam. I saw a photograph of the old prick's wife on the desk, face smiling like a bag of money on a beggar's grave. Who is that fat turd, I said, as hit me with his jeweled fist. While his man held me, he put a lighted cigarette on my eyelid. I smelled the burning flesh through his excellent perfume. And on the wall it said, democracy must be saved at all costs. The floor was littered with letters of endorsement from liberals and intellectuals. Your high ideals, liberty, human justice. Stalin's picture spotted between Hoovers and a group shot of the DAR. I brought my lorry up and it caught him in the nuts. A little foam trickled from his flabby puss. All right, Sam. And they led me to a yard and through a city of iron cells, and I saw the boys, Lenin, Trotsky, Nin, Pierce, Rosa, Luxemburg. Their eyes were confident, beautiful, and unafraid. We came finally to an immense hall protected by barbed wire and machine guns. Hitler Benny Mussolini, Roosevelt, and all. The big and little wigs were at table. FD's arms all around Adolf. Chiang Kai checked around the Pope, all laughing, fit to kill. As soon as the treaty was signed, out the window it went. But how they fumbled at each other under the table. I snatched up a menu. Grilled Japanese soldier on toast. Fried revolutionaries a la Dirty Joe. Roast worker freestyle. Hamstrung Colonel Stew, British special. Gas child's breast, and an international favorite in the wine list. Blood, 1914, 15, 17, 83, 34, 36, 40, etc. So much fresh meat, I thought a butcher's holiday. The general paused to enjoy the floor show. On a raised platform, little groups of people stood. Flags told their nationality. Orders told them what to do. As the bands blared, they rushed at each other with bayonets. The dead and dying were dragged out and others brought on. Sweat streamed from the orders. The musicians wobbled crazily. Big shots were mad with joy, juggling in their seats like monkeys. And they never get wise, the general said as we moved on, out into the air again. A line of petty officials and war pimps waited before the door. As we approached, they drew aside respectfully to let the general in. I heard a woman moaning, and I knew what they wanted there. Now, do you know what we've done with her, the general said? To go mad or to die. They forced me to watch as the general went up to her, and her eyes were looking at me. Wow. Okay, so a very striking poem, obviously, with some timely notes as well. Some of the other poems that Kenneth Patchen wrote along these lines include a revolutionary prayer, which combines spiritual wonder with revolutionary zeal. It's capitalist in nature, capitalist-driven war and injustice. His poetry often contrasts childlike wonder with depictions of violence by juxtaposing innocence and brutality. His sense of wonder, akin to childlike amazement, serves as a counterbalance to the harsh realities of violence and social corruption. While his work often critiques the destructive nature of war and capitalism, it simultaneously celebrates the potential for joy and creativity inherent in childlike wonder. This duality highlights a vision of hope, a hope we can all hold on to, and renewal amidst chaos, suggesting that innocence and imagination can transcend the violence of this world. Kenneth Patchen's depiction of violence serves as a counterpoint to a celebration of life by highlighting the tension between the destructive forces of society and the potential for human creativity and wonder. His poetry often portrays violence as a product of capitalist greed and societal corruption, emphasizing war as a manifestation of these destructive tendencies. In contrast, Patchen celebrates life through themes of love, unity, and childlike wonder, suggesting that these elements can transcend and oppose the brutality of human nature. This duality underscores a vision of hope and renewal amidst all the chaos. And I personally hope that we can carry all that through. I would encourage you to investigate as much of Kenneth Patchen's work that you can get your hands on, particularly if you have interest in some of the topics that we've hit on here. We appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us for a few minutes to learn a little bit more about great words, where they come from, what they mean, and how important they really are. And don't forget to like, subscribe, join everywhere you possibly can. Follow us all over the place like you're stalking us. Social yet distanced. We're everywhere and anywhere, and we appreciate life a lot better when you're here with us. Thanks, guys.